Know this. Introducing the original blood clot podcast, not players. Soothing semantic. Special dedication. All the way from New York. Boom. Yeah, man. SWOT semantic. Yeah, me know. Boom. Soothing semantic. Yeah, me know. Big ups to the man now. Soothing semantic.
On another episode of Soothing Semantics, I'm your host, Ravi Pinsky. Subscribe, like, and share the episode. Leave a comment as well if you have any comments. And really make sure to hit that subscribe button and like button. Very important that we get to 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize the channel and continue to produce better content. So, without further ado, today we have David Nitzany. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good.
Awesome.
I'm doing good.
Okay. So David is an animal activist. He's an activist for a lot of different things. And he's also written a book, series of books on Hebrew.
Yeah.
And you can find those on Amazon. So here, Conversational Hebrew, Quick and Easy. Okay, so you got these two right here. Easy approach to learning the language of the Jews. If you guys have any interest, there's a lot of and whatever. You know, if you want to hock a loogie, learn some Hebrew, right? So, dude, tell us about your animal activism. Recently, there was a woman you were working with that ended up not being too good to animals, and she went away. Unfortunately, not for long enough. But tell us something about that,
Well,
and then we'll go into the other things.
Well, I used to work with this woman. Her name was Sharon Smilin. We worked together. We did a lot of animal volunteer work. What we do was basically we spayed and neutered the cats. You know, we trapped them, took them in, you know, had them fixed, brought them back. And supposedly, you know, she was living a double life. So she, you know, hoarded a bunch of them. And she just left them out to die in the efficiency. No food, no water for months. And it was one of the worst cases of animal cruelty in Miami-Dade County's history. I led a campaign against her to have her put in jail for what she did. And this happened in 2018, so over 3.5 years I've been fighting to try to bring justice to those cats. And this week she was finally incarcerated for a year. She took a plea bargain, pled guilty to 6 felonies, and she'll never be able to own an animal again. And the judge also, you know, as I said, sentenced her to 364 days. So, yeah, I mean, that's the end of that saga.
Yeah, it's crazy that animal cruelty doesn't get enough of a time. But the thing is, it was definitely cruelty, but it sounds like it was neglect and not. Did she hit the animal? I'm not excusing the behavior, obviously, but did she hit the animals? You know, did that physically harm them or just neglect?
She just neglected. There was cans of unopened food over there, and there were also cats in various stages of condition. So it could be possible that she was just throwing cats in there until the last day, until she, you know, finally got arrested in 2018.
Sounds like she has some serious issues, though. It sounds like, and I don't know, but it sounds like she potentially likes cats, but had just her brain was just.
They did send her. The defense did send her to a specialist to find if there's any kind of mental issues, so they could use it, you know, to defend her. Mm-hmm. And all they found was anxiety and depression. There was no multiple personality or schizophrenia or delusions or hallucinations. So that's all that, you know.
Pretty weird way to. It's a pretty interesting thing to go to prison for. You go to prison for a year for neglecting animals. Fact of the matter is, she should definitely serve time for it. I think cruelty to animals isn't taken in seriously enough. It kills me when I see people physically harming animals. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, 30 of them died, actually.
It's 30? How many did she have?
She had maybe about 40, and about 30 of them died. The surviving ones managed to survive by eating the other ones.
Oh my God, dude. Serious?
Yeah. And even the prosecutor said this is the worst case of animal cruelty in Miami-Dade County's history with cats.
Wow, that's horrible.
And she was always offered help, and, you know, she would always, you know, make up all these sob stories. She didn't have any money, and us, we would always offer her money and stuff. I had a friend of mine that, actually not a friend, one of our volunteers that works with us. She,
you're taking care of 40 cats. No shit. I mean, there are people that could take care of 40 cats, but most people.
She could have reached out for help, basically.
Okay, yeah, it's just, I don't know.
I mean, we would have came.
She's the definition of a crazy cat lady. That's
or
literally
opened the door, let them run out.
Yeah.
Pure evil.
Listen, whatever it is, it's probably something deep, seriously wrong with her, obviously, but it is what it is. It's sad. But you are always kind of being an activist for something or another. What do you think? I'm curious, man. Aside from all these things you're an activist about, why do you think you spend so much of your time trying to dispute things and fight for things? What is it about you, bro, that you're always trying to look for something that needs a reform? What in your nature do you think causes this? Do you think it's a lot of free time?
Nah, I just like standing up for what's right, basically.
Okay. That's good. It's good to have people like that. So there's a story you wanted to share with us.
Yes. The past few years, I've been trying to get a bill passed in Tallahassee regarding expungement. When I was 15 years old back in 1999, me and a friend of mine, we were just, kids do stupid things. There was an abandoned Oldsmobile downstairs in our building that didn't belong to anyone. So we decided, we'll just pull the emblem off and take it, keep it in the room. So we done that, and I guess somebody called the cops or something. So the police came. There was no owner to the car, so they didn't charge us with theft. They charged us with criminal mischief and loitering and prowling. They took us downtown, and we spent, about 8 hours there. My dad came, picked us up, and I had to enroll in a juvenile program. Back then, what we were doing, we were, walking around the city, picking up trash, doing all that stuff, and we had several other aspects of the program as well that we had to complete in order to, graduate from it. So after a year, when I was about 17 years old, because I suffered from learning disabilities and because I didn't have the highest GPA, my parents knew it will be a struggle to get me into college. So my dad, in order to give me the best chance at the best fair chance at a good future, my dad decided to take it upon himself and expunge my record. So he went ahead, cleared my record. I applied for college. I actually, got accepted. I graduated after a few years with my bachelor's. And then about, maybe it was, I think, 18 years later or something, my roommate attacked me, and I defended myself. The police came. I tried to explain, it was self-defense. They said, no, because you both live under the same roof, it's considered domestic. They took us both in. Ultimately, our cases were dismissed as a result of refusal to press charges against each other. And the day following the dismissal of my case, I went down to my attorney's office, paid him $500 to expunge my record. He said, okay, the process between a year and a half. I said, okay, fine. He sent me to bring this paper to the police station, get fingerprints and everything. So we done that, and I overnighted to him. He overnighted Tallahassee, and then I just waited. Every few months, I would always contact him and ask him about, following up, if whether, Tallahassee has, expunged it yet. That's how anxious I wanted to, get this off my record and move on already. So a year and 2 months later, he called me and he said, I'm sorry, Tallahassee rejected your request for expungement. I said, why? He said, because in Florida, you only get one expungement in your lifetime, and because your dad expunged your record when you were a child, then that juvenile expungement counts towards your one lifetime expungement. But I said, how could that be? I was a child. He said, yeah, well, this childhood expungement that you had, 20 years ago almost, does count against you in your adult life. So I got so upset, I reached out to one of the top expungement lawyers in Florida, and he told me, my only recourse is to wait for the law to change. And I said, I'm not going to sit back and wait. I'm going to take matters into my own hands. So I contacted the senator of this district, Senator Jason Pizzo, and he was so inspired by my story that he decided to try to fix this law, and he filed it in the Senate as Senate Bill 684 during the 2020 session.
Favorably. Members moving into tab 8, SB 684. Senator Pizzo, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 684, members, allows for a court-ordered expunction to be granted to an individual whose previous court-ordered expunction was granted prior to the age of 18. There's also an amendment.
Amendment. Any questions? Any appearance? None on the amendment. Any debate? Senator Pizzo, please close. Any objections? Seeing no objections, so that amendment is adopted. So we're now on the bill as amended. We have appearance cards. Yatir.
Nitzany.
Nitzany.
Hello.
Hi, you're
Hi.
recognized.
My name is Yatir Nitzany. When I was 15, I made a really small mistake, really simple misdemeanor. It was dismissed after I completed a juvenile program. My dad expunged my record when I was 16 or 17 so I could apply for college, which I did, and I successfully graduated. 20 years later, my roommate attacked me, and when the police were called, because security was aware of the commotion, I explained to the police that I defended myself. It was a case of self-defense, stand your ground, castle doctrine. The police didn't care. They took us both on domestic. Our cases were eventually dismissed as a result of our refusal to press charges on each other. The day following the dismissal of my case, I went down to my attorney's office and hired him to expunge my record. He advised me the process is between a year to a year and a half. About a year and 2 months later, he contacted me to advise me that Tallahassee rejected my request for expunction as a result of my childhood expungement that my dad carried out when I was 16. In Florida, someone is granted only one expungement in their lifetime. Okay. However, regarding juveniles, their cases, their record automatically expunges by the state at the age of 24 through a process called the automatic expunction. And then we also had a House sponsor. It was Barbara Watson from District 107. So it passed, every bill has to pass 6 committees, 3 in the House, 3 in the Senate, and then the House floor and the Senate floor, and then it will be up to the government the governor, DeSantis, whether to veto or approve it. And it's like a video game. You die in one level, that's it. You have to start all over again from the beginning the next year. So my bill, it passed in the House, one committee, one in the Senate during the 2020 session. And then it got amended onto another bill that already passed all 6 committees. So during the 2020 session, my bill, like I said, it went to the Senate floor, the House floor, because it passed, it passed on the back of another bill, and basically it was amended onto it. Mm-hmm. And it passed 117 yes and 0 no's. The stipulation of my bill which basically says that anyone who had an expungement when they were a child can now have an expungement again. And then the next day it was supposed to go to the Senate floor, but it died because it wasn't heard. The clock ran out, basically. Mm-hmm. When you have a bill, you have, a certain time for it to be heard. If it's not heard, then that's it. The clock runs out and dies. So that's what happened with it. So the bill died in 2020. In 2021, they refiled it again, but they amended it to a few other bills. It was a bundle of 3 bills, which one of them included mine, the language of mine. Mm-hmm. And again, it didn't pass. So I may try to have it filed this year as non-retroactive, to push for it as non-retroactive, because one of the obstacles that this bill was facing was in the fiscal policy. It said that it would cost the state $600,000 the first year, $400,000 the second year, and $300,000 the third year, because the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the ones that are actually handling the expungements, would be required. The fiscal policy said they would be required to hire 6 additional employees and get a bigger compound. A bigger space for for the department in order to, expunge, multiple records, because multiple people will probably come in and request to have the records expunged if, this passes, because there's so many others like me who had, the record expunged when they were juveniles, and now they want to expunge it again. Not to mention all the parents that are refraining from expunging their child's record when they find out that if they do it now, the child won't be able to expunge again. Because in Florida, juvenile record automatically clears by the state at the age of 24. But some parents, like mine, they want to wait until, I turn 24. Some parents don't want to wait until their child turns 24. They want to expunge it now because they want the kid to apply for college, or perhaps, find a job after finishing high school. So it kind of limits your opportunity, especially nowadays that everything's so competitive. If you have something on your record and, for example, you're trying to apply for a competitive school, then, they might filter out your application. And, I have to say that it's just not fair that you threaten a parent with an ultimatum by telling them, if your son or daughter made a mistake, you're basically, you're threatened with an ultimatum how to destroy your child's future. You either go with 24, expungement, and, ruin your child's ability to apply for school, or, their ability to apply for a job, from the age of, for example, 16 until 24. Or you go with a juvenile expungement. It's called, the court-ordered expungement. And then, you'll hinder the ability to expunge in the future in case down the road they need to again and can't, because this, childhood expungement just counted towards their one lifetime expungement.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have it run as non-retroactive, I'll be keeping it on my record forever. And even though that's going to suck, but at least, the state is not going to be able to do it to anyone else. Non-retroactive means, for example, anyone who turns 18 from, usually the law takes effect from July 1st of that year and onwards. So anyone who had their record expunged as a juvenile and will turn 18 after July 1st, 2022, for example, will only be able to benefit from that law. People like me will probably have to keep it on the record forever. And if they do try to run it as non-retroactive, I will fight tooth and nail to have it passed as non-retroactive, because even though, they won't be able to expunge my record or anyone else who's in the same situation as I am, at least the system will never be able to do this to anyone else.
Okay, let me know. That makes perfect sense. I'm definitely pro, depending on what the case is.
Yes.
Depending on what it is. But in your case, definitely makes sense to have it, have two expungements, the option. But you're going to have to just keep resubmitting it, right?
Yeah, every year I'm resubmitting it.
Wow.
And in Florida, you can only have cases that were dropped or dismissed expunged. If, let's say, for example, you had a DUI and you took a guilty plea because you wanted to, work out some kind of plea bargain. I mean, I never had a DUI, but, if, you pled guilty and then you have a conviction, you cannot have it expunged, for example. Also, if, let's say, for example, we'll use a DUI example again, a DUI conviction, and then, down the road you have something else that, misorderly conduct, for example, a few years down the road, and then it gets dismissed. Then because of the fact you had that conviction, that DUI conviction, for example, a few years back that, you were convicted for, therefore it will, or even a no contest plea, then you're not going to be able to expunge something in the future. A different case was dropped or dismissed because of that prior conviction. So it's basically they're very limited on the amount of expungements that they have here. And I'm not even asking the state for two expungements. I'm just saying that a juvenile expungement should not count towards someone's one lifetime expungement. Even if they do raise it to 2 or 3 expungements, still that juvenile expungement should not count towards those 2 or 3 expungements as well.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. I'm not someone who can determine this, but I hear what you're saying. Definitely hear what you're saying. Okay. So, by the way, I'm definitely going to add the actual video in that you showed me.
Okay.
Okay.
And you have any questions regarding this?
You explained a lot to me, so I'm just trying to think of what I can really ask. Expungements at the end of the day are pretty straightforward. You know, it's pretty much just allowing forgiveness for something that
Yeah.
was done. And, you know, like I said, it really depends on what the person did. In your case, it seems like it's permissible, but it's really situationally dependent. So, I mean, that's pretty much it, you know. I think we covered a lot of ground. It wasn't a long episode, but we think we went over a lot, right?
Yes.
So, with that said, it was surely a pleasure to have you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. As always, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you very much.